Hi, my name is Robertino, and together with my partner Alex, we are going to explain the Renaissance and the life of Filippo Brunelleschi. The first was a period that started in the 14th centuries to the 17th centuries. It was a rebirth of the Roman and Greek ideas, accompanied by an interest in man, called humanism. It was a new way of thinking, because in the Middle Ages the people thought that life supposed to be hard. However, around the 1300s, people in Florence began to think differently about life. Now, people thought that life could be enjoyable. They started to think that people could be educated and that things could make the life better for everyone. Now, Alex is going to explain the reasons why the Renaissance flourished in Italy.
There are three reasons why this period flourished in Italy. The first is about her location. Italy is located in the middle of Eastern and Western Europe, making it very easy for her, through trade, to spread the new ideas all over the continent. Overseas trade, spurred on by the Crusades, had brought great wealth to Italy, and finally, Italy is the home of ancient Rome and many of great belief that Rome held. The second reason was the wealthy merchant class. The feudalism never gained a firm hold in Italy because of this northern Italy was urban, unlike the rest of Europe. Her fortune was made through commerce and trade. In addition, the bubonic plague decimated over 60% of Italian population. This brought more wealth to the common class. The fewer laborers and surviving workers could demand more money. This made more difficult for the upper wealthy class to expand their business. They started to spend the money on more interesting things like the art, architecture, and literature. And finally, the last reason was her fourth city, Florence, who grew powerful due to the trade of wool, Venice, who gained power through the sea, Milan, who had a strong monarchy ruled by a powerful line of dukes, and the Papal State founded by the Church in the center of Rome.
Now I'm going to explain the Renaissance art and the importance of patrons. One of the features of the Renaissance was the beginning of new styles of painting, sculpture, and architecture. Artists tried new approaches in terms of techniques, material, and subject matter. The realism was the art of paint and sculpt subjects realistically, and involved a number of techniques that make the subjects and the background look like the real life. Other technique was the perspective. It was drawing or painting a picture such it looks like there are three dimensions. The third technique is the balance and proportion. It is the drawing subject such that they are the correct size when compared to each other. The next is the using of light and dark. Many artists started using light and shadows in their works to add drama, perspective, and timing to their art. And the last technique is the sfumato. This technique was used to add perspective and dimensions to painting. It was a way of blurring the lines between the subjects of the work. Patrons play an important role in artists' lives. They not only commission work of arts to glory their cities or towns, often gave a sculptor or artist a place to live, and money, time, and encouragement to travel, study, and explore. Wealthy families had their homes, palaces, and villages decorated with art. Works of art were also commissioned to celebrate important occasions in the family life. Guilds and government bodies commissioned artists to create works of art. The church commissioned statues and paintings for their interiors, and the popes commissioned decorations for their homes, their own portraits, and even sculptures for their tombs.
The nobility were the person who ruled the city-state or who held noble titles passed down hereditarily. They served as politicians and military commanders and owned most of the land for which the city was ruled. According to the Book of the Courtier, true nobles must be highly skilled warriors, masters of social situations, proficient at dance, and excuse grace, and with it all they do. The merchants controlled much of the booming international trade, which resulted in the growth of technology, arts, and a thriving Renaissance culture. They became extremely wealthy and powerful, much to the disdain of the nobility. The tradesmen were skilled craftsmen and artisans. They were trained as apprentices under a master, and when they became skilled enough, they earned the title of master and opened up their own workshops and trained their own apprentices. Finally, the unskilled workers worked in the shops in the cities for artisans or merchants. Peasants in the countryside may have had it even worse and worked the lands owned by the nobility. The women and children in Renaissance worked in the countryside, along with men. Upper-class women didn't have a paid occupation but were expected to run a house, and peasants, children and workers rarely received formal education. Sons of apprentices learned the skill and were illiterate. The marriage wasn't about love, were arranged with similar social classes or upper classes. Talking about women's rights, they couldn't vote or inherit property, they couldn't only contribute at home.
The House of Medici came to power through banking and commerce, but soon rose to become one of the most powerful families of Europe. They were political masterminds who used their wealth to gain power. Second, they used arts as their personal propaganda machine to sustain the power, and finally, they used family connections and a vast social network to cement this power. Filippo Brunelleschi was an Italian architect, sculptor, and engineer who lived during the Renaissance period in Florence, Italy. He is known for his innovative work on the dome of the Florence Cathedral, which he designed and built with the help of his friend and fellow architect, Lorenzo Ghiberti. Brunelleschi's work on the dome was groundbreaking for its time and pushed the limits of what was thought possible in architecture. He developed new techniques for building large, self-supporting structures, including the use of double-shell constructions and herringbone brick patterns.